riding down Highway 61. Sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day. No matter where in the world I go, I'll always find home on the banks of that oxbow.
Hey, what's up, guys? Justin Berry here at the Crappie Connection.
Brad Chappell, William.
Brad, we're down here at Brad's shop, in case you're wondering where we're at here, and we got a special guest here. We got the first kid, right?
Yeah.
On the show here,
Young adult.
Young adult, yeah. So we got Jason and Parker
Eichwurtzle.
Eichwurtzle. I just went ahead and did that. So yeah, I'm going to have a little fun here. I got 4 kids at the house. He's nervous. I want to make sure he's going to stay nervous and get a little bit out of him.
He's going to get it out.
Yeah, he's going to get it out. So, man, where do you start at? I mean, how old are you again?
14.
14. How long you been doing this together, guys?
I think he started with me when he was 9, I believe. Weren't you 9, Bart?
I'm not sure.
9 or 10.
Just taking him fishing, 9 or 10 years old?
As far as the tournaments go, he started fishing with me, tournament-wise, when he was about 9 or 10.
Wow.
Oh, no, he was in the boat in diapers, literally crawling around the boat. I mean,
eating minnows, dead minnows and stuff?
I used to have a picture of Park. We were fishing Wolf Lake one time, and his older brother, he said, "Daddy," he said, "you need to look at Parker." And I was like, I was busy. I had 8 poles out fishing by myself, and he said, "Daddy, you need to look at Parker." And I'm like, "What is it?" I had a mess tangled up, and he said, "Daddy, you need to look at Parker." And I turned around, and I swear it looked like he was drowning in a live well or bobbing for fish, because I looked back and he was bent over in the live well, and I said, "Parker, what are you doing?" And when he come out, all his hair was soaking wet. I'm like, I was looking at the fish.
Getting to know him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I just asked you a while ago, I mean, you're pretty young, and I'll be straight up honest with you. You got me beat on biggest fish. What's your biggest fish so far?
345.
345. Where'd you catch that again?
Barnett.
What? I've never seen a 345 out of Barnett.
He showed me a picture a while ago.
I believe him. There's no doubt.
Man, he got one up on me. That's awesome.
Did you mount it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mounted it.
I was hoping so.
Got another one coming in. He's 317.
Man.
317 from Barnett?
Grenada.
That's no shocker. 340 anything is a huge fish in any lake.
He's got, now that I've weighed, he's got five fish bigger than any that I've ever caught.
Jason, you better tighten up.
Since live scope, I mean, I'm not fishing. I'm literally chasing them down, and he's catching them. And this year we were pre-fishing. We went back after Terry Stewart just whopped them with 21 pounds the week before.
Murdered it, didn't he?
Murdered it.
God.
We went back the next week to pre-fish for another crappie tournament, and we showed up on Wednesday, and about the same areas that we fished the week before.
Which is what?
Well, we're not gonna go there. But,
Okay.
Parker tell us in a minute.
Yeah.
But the fish had moved a little, and we didn't find them for a couple of hours. And then when we got on them, it was just, I mean, you'd see them with live scope, 50, 60 foot out there, 2.5 inch stretch mark, and you knew, he suspended 5, 6 foot in the water column. It's like just stay there, please. I mean, because when they're up that high, it's just put something in front of you.
Yep, they're
and he did. He caught 4 that was over 3 pounds in 30 minutes.
Oh, Lord.
I'm like, my dad calls. He's like, y'all catching them? I was like, it's unbelievable. You
Yeah.
know, and of course, tournament day
Oh, yeah.
rolls around and they had moved again. It's
Yeah.
springtime spawn. I mean, they're steadily, and I'm a little bit slow sometimes, and didn't pick up on it till day 2. But hey, 4 3-pound fish in 30 minutes, I'm not gonna complain any
No,
week.
not at all. We learned the other day that they moved up to 5 to 10 miles a day. They said.
We've had Keith Mills, one of the main guys for regulations and stuff for Mississippi. That's one of the studies they did, he said, about 10, 12 years ago. But would you believe a crappie could move that much in one single day?
That's
Is that
crazy.
right?
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
That's
That's
amazing.
I would have never. I was thinking, yeah, maybe quarter of a mile, half a mile. He threw out that big
Yeah,
number.
he said
and I was
5 10. I was like, what?
was like, come on now. He was
Yeah.
like, no doubt.
As coming from a parent, and you have this amazing little angler right here, or young adult, as Brad would say.
Yeah.
What is? Did you direct him in this way, or was it? When did you know that you was fixing to go next level with him in tournament fishing?
Well, he's always had a love for it. You know, he's always had a love for it, and our whole family's baseball.
Same
and
here.
well, I coached them through their select team till they was 12, and I was backing away at 12, and they went and played on another select team, and that after that next year it kind of broke up, and Parker, you know, he said, I want to fish a lot of these tournaments, and I said, well, you know, you're gonna have to choose, because we're competitive. It don't matter if we're throwing horseshoes. I've always told my boys, if you're gonna do something, let's do it 100%.
Yeah, if you're gonna do something, do it right.
I don't like being middle of the pack. I mean,
Right.
some people's okay, go out there and fish with 100 boats, and you finish. I finished 50th. I'm mad, but he decided he wanted to fish, and I said, you know, we can still play ball, but we're gonna just pick up and play with somebody. You know,
Yeah.
if we're gonna. So he wanted to do the fishing, so we've throwed everything we could at it, and
That sounds just like my family there. So we come from sports, ball. I talk about ball to Brad all the freaking time, and that's crazy. He just said, all right, game change. Let's start fishing, huh?
Let's talk about fishing styles. I know you guys are real versatile, you know, and I think that's key into this tournament fishing is being versatile. But what technique right now is still one of your favorites?
I mean,
Parker, we'll make you talk.
Got to be one of them.
Well, I love the live scope, no doubt, but I love catching a lot of fish when we're trolling. I miss it.
Spider rigging or?
Spider rigging.
no doubt. I mean, you look at caps and them. I mean, you can't go wrong. 8 poles out the front, single jigs on a windy day. I mean, it's hard. It used to be really hard to beat.
Yeah.
You know.
Hell yeah.
Live scope has changed everything in the last couple of years. And still with live scope, I mean, I have my days where I love it. I have my days where I freaking hate it. You know,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to jerk it out of my boat. But before live scope, you had to be as versatile as anything. I mean, we love to. What got us really to where we are now was slow trolling on not so windy days. But if the wind got up on tournament days or even out there fun fishing, the long poles went out the back and we was pulling jigs or cranks. And a lot that I learned from talking to you and Earl Brinks, Lord knows he come down here 15 years ago, brought it to the Mississippi, you
Yes,
know.
he did.
And,
Him and Kenny Browning.
Kenny Browning, and that was the first person to ever put me in the boat. And I come back home and I told Daddy, I said, we'll never long line. He said, why? I said, we can't afford the jigs on Barnett.
Right, losing them.
But That's just another technique that we learn from y'all guys, and but now with live scope, it is just. And I'm not saying you can't beat those live scopers. It's got to be. It's got to be
the right day.
The right day. The stars are gonna have to line. I mean, because when you can, especially on lakes that have really big fish,
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to fish for 30 or 40 or 50 fish.
Right.
This last tournament we fished with ACT, you still were having to catch a lot of fish with live scope to get that number to cull through, because there wasn't that big of a size difference. You wasn't seeing a lot of 2-pound fish, but there was a ton of 1.25 to 1.75 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell on that screen, or I can't tell on that screen, 1.25 from 1.75 pounds.
Right.
So you have to try to fish for them. You go to lakes in Oklahoma, Grenada, stuff that's gonna carry that 2.5, that 3, 3.5. You don't have to catch but 7.
Yeah. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
So
what? Who? Have you gave him the option yet to run the boat? Just let him turn. Have you turned him loose yet? Is what I'm trying to get out.
We've swapped.
Have you sat back and let him make them big decisions?
Or what do you want to do?
Or what do you want to do?
What is your team dynamic?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll ask him in the morning where you want to go.
Really?
What you want to do?
How many tournaments do y'all fish a year together?
Oh Lord. We fished, I think, every ACT last year, and
really,
we might have missed a few Magnolias just to personal stuff last year. And we fished a couple Crappie Masters, but I mean, if there's a tournament close by, we trying to make it. I mean, from fruit jars to y'all know. I mean, the more time on the water, whether it's just fun fishing or fishing in a tournament, the more you learn. And I think the more you learn, I think you'll learn more from your losses than your wins.
Almost definite.
I know one thing that comes to my mind I want to ask Parker about is, because you are a role model, probably way more than you believe at this point in your life, but what would you give advice for a dad? Not the kids, but what advice would you give a dad about getting his son into it? Because, I mean, that's real important. I mean, to me, if you've got an insight that we as adults don't have.
Yeah, say what you want. We'll deal with your dad after this. Don't worry about that.
Well, we get in a lot of arguments on the water.
Right.
And, shoot. I don't know what to say.
Anything, just pop it up.
Just do it. Just go for it, I guess.
Yeah. We ain't gonna say nothing until you say something.
Well, we've worked hard on this live scope for a long time. It takes a while for me and him. It took us a while for me and him to finally learn it a little bit. And now that we know a little bit about it, we struggle sometimes, and sometimes we go out in the water and we don't struggle, but that's going to happen most of the time.
But as far as you giving advice for parents or kids listening in, what Brad said, what advice can you give to the parents that's listening in?
How would they get their kids involved in this? What makes it? What's so fun about it for you?
I love it because I've done it for a long time, and he loved taking me out fishing. I'd go with him and Papa, and sometimes he'd let me get up there and fish with him. And after Papa finally quit fishing with him, me and him we started fishing. In my first tournament, we fished on Barnett, and we caught a bunch. We didn't win it, but we caught a bunch of fish, and I loved it. So I wanted to start doing it with him.
You probably now got a lot more buddies in all different age brackets than most kids your age.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can see at different tournaments that I've been through the years with him there, and everybody's coming up to Parker. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're real inspiration. I think you need to take pride in that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, speaking of inspirations and maybe my kid to listen to back at home when this gets aired, and other kids? I mean, do you have any of what any other advice you have for kids your age or coming up wanting to do what you're doing? Because I mean, in all honesty, I'm jealous. I never, as a kid, had this opportunity to go, fish,
I think
pro style.
I think the parents should just take their kids out fishing and start letting them do what they like to do.
And there you go.
I think there's so many different ways to crappie fish. I think a lot of the youth don't realize it until they get to experience it even. I mean,
Yeah.
from YouTube now and that's one thing that we're trying to do is promote the sport, of course, but you can watch videos and see, man, that's I don't think of crappie fishing like I used to. When I was your age, crappie fishing was, and probably Jason as well, was tied up to a bush,
Oh, yes.
throwing out some bobbers, and that's productive and fun as well. But I think nowadays, the different ways to crappie fish is endless.
I mean, the only time, me growing up, the only time we went crappie fishing was in the spring. And I'm going to tell you, some of my fondest memories I can think back was literally behind the spillway in the high water, cold and rainy. And,
Yeah.
I mean, literally guys with 55-gallon drums in their boat with fires going. I'm thinking, don't think about that nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
But
You say 55-gallon drum?
55-gallon
of
drum.
fire in their boat?
yes, sir.
For
Stay
heat.
warm? Oh,
For
my
heat.
God. I put a propane tank in there. I didn't know 55
No,
gallon.
these guys had 55-gallon drums.
I've never heard that.
Think about that for safety. But yeah, man. I mean, that's all we done. And how I got into it was my dad. I mean, this was years ago with Magnolia Crappie Club. I was a bass fisherman. I mean, I had branched off, and that's what I was doing, fishing bass tournaments. And my dad got an invite from oh my gosh, now I forget. My mind went blank. From a guy that fished in Magnolia Crappie Club to come fish a tournament. His partner wasn't going to be there. And Jim McKay, that's who it was. It was Jim McKay. And Dad, I think they went to Showtard. I believe they went to Showtard. And Dad come back, and he was like, man, this group is just so fun. This is a blast. We need to start doing it. And I said, that's crappie fishing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to crappie fish. And he goes another month or so. I think Daddy went out with him again on another tournament, and he just come back. We got to do this. We got to do this.
He got hooked.
He got hooked, and I think Magnolia's next tournament that was coming up was Grenada. I had never seen Grenada Lake, and the bass fisherman in me at the time, I knew nothing about spider rigging. All I'd ever done was jig fished, and I said, we're going to do this, and we went up, and literally they handed it to us. I mean, I was like, what just happened? And from then on, the competitiveness in me was like, I'm not going to let these crappie fishermen beat me, you know. But it was amazing. I mean, from where it's come from, all of crappie fishing, where it's come from then to now. And I'm saying that was probably 15 years ago when me and Dad started with Magnolia, and just all the techniques that's come, not just technology. I mean, when we got in, it was either you spider rigged or you single poled. And now there's so much more. I mean, when we first ever heard about somebody pulling a crankbait for a crappie, I was like, dude,
They're crazy.
yeah, who's cool? They're not going to eat us.
That's probably me.
Probably so.
I think it was Chapel. He come in and spanked us on Barnett in the summertime.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's out there pulling cranks. But
No way.
but it's changed so much, and for the good,
Yeah.
That's what we've got to get going, and I'm seeing more and more. I mean, you go to these tournaments now, and there's more and more kids fishing with their dads, and sometimes it's not their dads; it's someone else. But we need to push it. I mean, the tournaments need to push for kids, whatever it might be, to get them to come. I know last year, which it kind of with the corona and several different things, but ACT was trying to push a pro-am, and I think that would be great for youth and other adults, you know, because the way he had it set up, that was just going to be, I mean, who wouldn't want a chance to fish with a Ronnie Capps or a Terry Stewart or, you know, I would. I mean,
what advice would you get out of a parent that says, you know what, I want to get my child into crappie fishing? Would there be one technique that you would pick over the other, or just would it be the live scope? I mean, live scope to me is very challenging.
it is, live scope is,
That's what we was talking about with sorry to interrupt, but that's what we was talking about a lot individually as we travel and everything. Is I'm excited to get one for my kids. It's good on games, you know what I mean, and it's kind of a good way to try to get them out on the boat, and it's kind of like a win-win situation when you can see everything going on down under. It's kind of like a game, and sort of.
you definitely, after we got it, and we were using it trolling. I mean, and I never thought, even after I got it, I was like, these guys can't come to Grenada and beat me with one pole, you know. I still said it. After what I could see, I said they can't come from Oklahoma or Missouri and beat me with one pole.
Yeah.
And they put me in my place. And after they did, I told Parker, I said, you know, this is I could see this is what tournament fishing's going to.
Oh yeah.
I said,
It's
now.
there.
Oh yeah.
I said, now we have the equipment. We don't have the knowledge, but we have the equipment. If we're gonna learn it, we're gonna have to take everything out, and that was hard. Because
What do you mean take everything out? Explain it.
all our trolling stuff, because we love to troll. I love to pull. I mean, there was nothing else I'd rather do. And I'm telling you, for 3 months, every trip I went on, I about cried looking at those trolling poles sitting in the racks when I pulled the boat out. You know, I was like, I never thought I'd do it, and it was aggravating. I mean, I know I talked to Brad after he got his on Barnett, and I'm like, I've got it. I'm sitting here putting the jig on them, and they won't bite. What's wrong?
Yeah.
And it was 3 or 4 months of pure aggravation, and luckily, I mean, one of the biggest things that helped us, no joke, and I can't thank him enough, after we did get beat at Grenada by the live scopers, Matthew Rogers put him in the boat with him.
Oh really?
The next day.
Really?
I mean, because he fished by us for 2 days. I mean, we sat there and watched him.
So what pointers did he show you?
He showed me where I needed to put my jig, and when I moved my jig, showed me which way I needed to go, and if the fish was closer to you, I needed to bring my pole, and how go out, and how he rigged his stuff up, like his minnows. He don't hook them through the lip. He goes through their gullet and comes out on the side.
He goes through what now?
He goes through their gullet and comes out through the side and pushes the minnow up on his hook.
Oh really?
And most of the time when them fish hit, you don't miss them.
Yeah, so good. Okay, bait presentation, where to put it, how to hold your pole, adjust your pole.
You know, I
Yes,
think
sir.
of Matthew Rogers. I think of one thing:
What's that?
boat control.
Yeah.
No doubt.
He's
Amazing.
a deadly, and so is Josh. I mean, that was the thing, getting the boat with Josh, and one of those guys that are at that level. It's like, dude, they have this boat control down to a fine art.
Yes.
It is definitely a skill, and that's kind of, you know, going across the whole worlds of crappie fishing. We get to see. I think a lot of times some of these guys that don't have live scope, they're just thinking, oh, it's just a cheating kind of way to go catch crappie. And I can tell you what, it's a lot harder than it looks.
It's challenging. I mean, and when you get that big fish down there, and he just will not bite.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to leave him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like looking at a 180-inch buck sitting out there, and you've got a muzzleloader in your hand, and he's 400 yards, and you just need him. Man, just give me
this way.
You know. But you've tried. I mean, we fished for a fish last week. I know we tried 4 different 4 different types of jigs, from like he was talking about with a 1/4 ounce minnow on there, some meat, to a 32nd ounce, anything to make that fish hit. And he just, I mean, he wasn't gonna hit. He was not gonna bite. And then we found a little something else that come up, and he fell in love with another technique that, and that's casting to him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's deadly.
Yep.
He said, "I love it."
I love it.
Do you find that easier than trying to drop a jig right in front of him?
Well, not in the wind. When you're in that wind, you're trying to cast to them. It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
A lot.
Now, get back on Matthew Rogers real quick before I forget the question. Did y'all know Matthew before y'all?
Not really.
Did he just come up to you, or how?
We went up to him
went to him
and
See,
asked him.
That's one good thing about crappie fishermen. Just like the next day, he put him in the boat and showed y'all, his technique and what he does and everything. I think that's just fascinating.
I think that's just what this sport is.
Yep.
I mean, you go to, some other species of fishing, and I don't think that would have happened no matter what kind of money you could have offered. But, it's like the guys that come on the show. I mean, there's literally, they leave it on this table.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's what I found, I mean, coming up through all of this. I mean, from 15 years ago, absolutely knew nothing about.
I got a story about Jason.
Oh,
too.
God.
I want to hear it. Let's go.
I think he's just getting back into fishing, and we was at Grenada. And he didn't get to pre-fish, and come up late and asked me some just suggestions on areas to fish.
Oh, yeah.
And I gave him my second spot. My first spot's where I fished. He beat me, won the tournament, and I come in second off my second spot.
Oh, wow.
That's gospel.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's,
Yeah.
See, I was just like, but that's how crappie fishing is, though. I mean, you believe in helping somebody out to, to help them have a good time and do good.
Yep.
And sometimes you get beat when you even help people, and that's what I've learned through the years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's true.
That's a good story. I never heard that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your favorite bait, Parker?
I like fishing probably a 1/4 ounce head with a minnow.
With a minnow? What's your favorite color?
Probably green. I like fishing that green color.
Mm-hmm.
That green color?
That's mostly what I do fish with.
Well, what do y'all troll with when y'all do troll? How long a pose y'all run?
I like fishing with the 14-footers.
Is it because it's easier?
I love fishing with them.
Can you handle the 16 foot though?
Oh, yeah.
Can you? I got
And
you.
I can feel that bite real easy when they hit it.
Easier on the 14s than the 16s?
Oh, he's actually, he's live scoping. When the fish get spooky, he's live scoping with a 17-foot pole
Really?
all
Oh,
day.
yeah, it's heavy.
Oh, where you at?
Do that
17-foot
all,
pole, huh?
do that all day and call me.
Yeah.
I tried it one day. I was like, dude, this
It's a
is killing my
struggle.
arm.
Yeah.
Have you set the hook yet in your sleep?
No, I ain't did that yet.
Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
I've done that a couple times. You ever done that, Brad?
I don't know. I don't remember my dreams too well. So.
I just wondering.
Kevin Rogers, he had a story that was pretty entertaining about him setting the hook.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
What else you got? You got any more questions, Brad?
just appreciate you guys coming out and getting in the shop with us, sweating. It is, the summertime here in Mississippi. It is warm in my shop.
yes.
The DC studio is pretty warm, but just appreciate you guys and looking forward to seeing what you two boys can come up with this summer. And got a tournament this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
We
sir.
need some
Y'all
predictions.
fishing that, right?
Yes, we're gonna fish
What's
it.
going to take to win Barnett this week?
Let's call Rabbit first. See what he's
Phone a
on.
friend.
Phone a friend.
I mean,
How many lifelines you got?
It's we've got live scope. Several guys got live scope, but this is Barnett in the summertime. They're forecasting 10 to 15. If I was putting money on it, I'm putting money on Rabbit Rogers every
What
chance.
weight? I want to know weight.
Weight wise,
What I've got.
Parker, you go
I've
first.
got an idea.
What kind of?
I say 13 pounds.
that's a pretty good weight.
Good gracious.
That's what he did last year.
He had 14.
I think it was
That's what
actually
he did last
14.
Yeah, he had 14 in
Uh,
September.
with no live
I think
scope.
Yeah.
Both days, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm.
What do you think, Jason?
I'm right. That was my answer. No joke.
Brad, what do you think? I mean,
That's
it's your
pretty
backyard.
high. I say 12 and a half would get it, but
12 and a half.
it's very possible 12 and a half. 14 is another level, but I mean, like we said, Rabbit's done it before. We will stay tuned to find out on
We
this
would
one.
definitely. I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, I know Brad's been on Barnett more than I have this year, and just the people I've talked to, Barnett's kind of maybe on a little bit of down year size wise, but it's still a possibility, and I'm saying a solid 12 and a half to 13 it's going to take to.
Before we close out, Parker, you got any like Instagram or Facebook you got going on or anything?
Yes, sir.
Where any other kids want to follow you, you can give a
Yes,
shout out
sir.
to them. What is it?
It's Parker Eichwurtzle. Just my name, Parker Eichwurtzle, EICHWURTZLE.
That's Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm sure you're posting all kinds of good slab
Oh, yeah.
crappie on there.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, one more thing before we close out. What kind of advice you want to give for kids that's listening to you and looking up to try to do something like what you're doing?
They just they need to get outside and go fishing sometime.
Go fishing sometime.
That's it.
I'm trying to do that right now. Anyway, guys,
Yeah,
I'm
me
Justin
too.
Berry.
Brad Chappell.
Guys, we appreciate you coming on a whole bunch.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Holla.
About a mile from Big Muddy River, a place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can